Part 1. Who were the Puritans? 1. The myth and foundation of Puritanism. The frozen chosen, haunted by the fear that someone somewhere may be happy, baptized in vinegar and weaned on a pickle. That's the latter-day view of the Puritans. The very words Puritan and puritanical are slung about as bits of verbal mud. In fact, the word was coined in the 16th century as a term of abuse. For the average Englishman, there was the Roman Catholic Papist on one side and the Precisionist or Puritan on the other side. The term suggested a nitpicking, holier-than-thou party of men who considered themselves purer than the rest. It was certainly not a fair description. Those it was applied to clearly never thought of themselves as pure, but far from it, as their constant testimony to their own sinfulness and imperfection demonstrates. Who then were the Puritans? Perhaps John Milton put it best when he spoke of the reforming of the Reformation, for that was the united goal of all Puritans, a continuation of the work of reforming the visible church, the lives of church members, and the society in which they lived. It was not that they thought of themselves as pure or fully reformed. It was that they wanted to reform in an ongoing manner what in the church and in themselves remained to be purified. They wanted reformation, while they frankly disavowed the idea that the Reformation could ever be thought to be finished and complete. Right but repulsive? Before we tell their story, some of the mud that has been thrown at them needs to be wiped off if we are ever to understand them. For one thing, they did not even look like what we think of today as the stereotypical Puritan. We might imagine the Puritans always wore black and scowled. That is how their portraits showed them, for that was their Sunday best, and sitting for portraits was a formal thing, often far from pleasant. But on other days they might wear any one or more of the colors of the rainbow. In the fashion of the times, John Owen, perhaps the greatest Puritan theologian, would walk through Oxford, hair powdered, cambric band with large costly band strings, velvet jacket, breeches set round at knees with ribbons pointed, and Spanish leather boots with cambric tops. Nor were they a crowd of inveterate sourpusses. Edmund Morgan writes, contrary to popular impression, the Puritan was no ascetic. If he continually warned against the vanity of the creatures as misused by fallen man, he never praised hair shirts or dry crusts. He liked good food, good drink, and homely comforts. As the description of Owens shows, they also liked to dress well according to their means and station in life. A scriptural people. The most important trait of the Puritans that contributes to their being misunderstood today is the one that really did unite them all, their passionate love for the Bible as the written Word of God, for Bible study, and for listening to sermons that faithfully and fully expounded the Bible. This was the foundation of their faith, their thought, their teaching, their worship, and their daily lives. Again and again we hear of Puritans happily traveling hours to hear a good, substantial sermon, and of how they thought a good Bible study better than an evening's reveling. Sermons were usually an hour or longer, but even 2-hour sermons were not unheard of. Lawrence Chatterton, 1536–1640, the extraordinarily long-lived master of that nursery of Puritanism, Emmanuel College, Cambridge, once apologized to his congregation for preaching to them for 2 hours straight. Their response was to cry, "For God's sake, sir, go on, go on!" To people who have never experienced the reading and hearing of the Word as something thrilling, such behavior sounds at best boring and at worst deranged. But the people of Europe had been without a Bible that they could read in their native tongue for approximately 1,000 years. To be able to read God's own words and to see in them such good news that God saves sinners not on the basis of their holy intentions or good works, but entirely by His own grace, was like glorious sunshine bursting into the dark gray world of religious guilt and human misery.